Peace be with you. Amen. On the second Sunday of Easter, when we hear the story of Thomas, and let's not call him Doubting Thomas, I want to reflect both on Thomas's faith, Earth Day 2025 just passed, and celebrate the about to be newest Christians among us, Hannah, Maximus, and Victor. It's an action-packed resurrection morning in Old Lyme. Thank you for being part of this joyous celebration. First, to the gospel. The second Sunday of Easter, we find ourselves again in John's gospel, where we are told that the disciples are gathered in a room late on what would be the first Easter morning. Remember, it was earlier that morning when Mary Magdalene went to the tomb, then got Peter and John, who, after they found the tomb empty, just went home. Mary stays, and then Jesus speaks to her. And she says, then rejoicing, I have seen the Lord. So all that has just happened as the gospel that I just read opens. And the men, the disciples, minus Thomas, are in the upper room, and the mood is bleak. Every plan and hope for the future rested with Jesus, and now he's dead. And there are these incredible stories of a resurrection. But the disciples remain unconvinced. How can it be? Then, without warning, Jesus appears in their midst and says, peace be with you. Shalom, God's peace. And he shows them his hands and his side. They recognize Jesus by his words and his wounds, and they rejoice. The Lord is alive. But Thomas isn't there when that happens, likely lost in the throes of his own grief. He misses his chance. Later, the others are telling him wild tales. We have seen the Lord. Well, this is too much for Thomas. Didn't they dismiss Mary Magdalene's story? So he makes an outrageous remark. Unless I see the mark of the nails in his hands and put my finger in the sides of Jesus, I will not believe. It's a brazen statement that reveals the depth of Thomas's doubt, and some people interpret it as a sorry lack of faith. But is it? As Owen Weber Courtney writes in today's Forward Movement Reflection Day by Day booklet, "Oh, Thomas, you have been maligned for your doubt for 2,000 years, offered as an example of failure and unfaithfulness. But you were the brave one. You were the one willing to be vulnerable and transparent, willing to risk being truly seen. We are not all truth tellers like you were. Oh, Thomas, your ecstatic response when you knew that Jesus stood before you as a kind of resurrection of hope, faith, and possibility. It was an encounter that changed your life and ours by showing us that our journeys also run on a continuum between doubt and faith, skepticism and belief." End of quotation from today's Forward Day by Day reflection. I like that language, particularly that of the continuum, that our lives are on this continuum. Our faith is not static. Our thinking is not static. Our skepticism is not static. Backing up to Easter, before Easter, Earth Day, well, actually right after Easter, but Earth Day 2025, April 22nd. In the midst of reading and reflecting on Earth Day 2025, I learned a new word, refugia. Show and tell. Refugia faith, seeking hidden shelter, ordinary wonders, and the healing of the earth, takes its name, refugia, from a biological concept. In an extreme event like a wildfire or earthquake or volcanic eruption, small spaces in the affected area are spared from the worst damage. Refugia are tiny coverts where plants and creatures hide from destruction, hidden shelters where life persists and out of which new life emerges. Author Deborah Rienstra sees this scientific concept as a spiritual metaphor for our relationship with the earth and describes nurturing spaces of refuge in both the biological world and in our cultures and spirits. As she writes, the Refugia model calls us to look for the seed of life where we go, concentrate on protecting and nurturing a few good things, let what is good and beautiful grow, and connect and spread. Trust God's work. This is not a textbook, nor is it an instruction manual. It is a thoughtful, researched love letter to the beauty of the earth, as we will sing in that beautiful hymn at the closure of this service, For the Beauty of the Earth. How many of you remember the first Earth Day, 1970? At the 8:30 service, every hand went up, which meant we're all a certain age. Well, that first Earth Day, 1970, 20 million people went to inaugural events at schools, universities, and other public areas around this country to protest for cleaner water and air. 20 million Americans, that was 10% of the then population, the largest demonstration to date in American history. I remember well when our biology teacher that day took us outside. Rarely did we go outside for class, and asked us to just look around and wonder how we are all connected. Our middle school was right beside the township's planetarium. Wasn't that so cool to have a planetarium in our school district? And indeed, the first Earth Day was powered by the photographs the year before from space, from the moon, from the first glimpses of the beautiful blue and white Earth suspended in that inky void. So we saw these photographs from our planetarium. That year, 1979, U.S. Senator Gaylord Nelson from Wisconsin had proposed a series of teach-ins at university campuses to raise awareness of environmental issues. He was joined by Congressman Pete McCluskey and activist Dennis Hayes. Their objective was to establish a national movement beyond the confines of student participation and academic forums. Congressman McCluskey co-authored the Endangered Species Act and played a pivotal role in establishing Earth Day. He was also instrumental in the passage of the Clean Air Act in 1970. Additionally, that same year saw the creation of the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, a response to public demands for cleaner water, air, and land, heightened by increasing climate-related disasters and pollution across the nation. The world, the earth, is more tattered now, and it's lost some of that white at the poles, but it remains sublime, and it remains so worth fighting for. We can honor that momentum begun in 1970 by doing all we can to produce some of the same kind of momentum for creation care today. Don't get discouraged by the scale of the work at hand. Following the example of those first Christians we've been reading about, chiefly from today's readings, Peter and John, amongst the original 12, who become so bold after their fear and intimidation of just the week before, the beginning with just literally 12 individuals. The history of the world was changed as they created, not intentionally creating a new religion, but as they created a new religion out of Jesus' teaching and out of their courage to proclaim the good news of God in Jesus Christ. Never let the scale of something to be done, immobilize you. Take it one step, one proclamation at a time. Refugia reminds us, promises us, that small work, microcultures, pockets of restoration and renewal can make a real and lasting difference. Reinsta writes, we begin small, where we are. We dig out and we repair. We plant seeds. We nurture what we can. We seek joy and give thanks. Give thanks and find joy. Everywhere I look, people and creatures are doing this resurrection work. End of quotation. As we journey these great 50 days of Easter, I pray we might be reshaped by Thomas's experience with Jesus, and that we practice refugia, seeking shelter, making connections to God's creation, and witnessing new life and all the possibilities Easter holds for us. May we go out this day rejoicing that every day is Earth Day, every day is Easter, and every day is a day to proclaim with Thomas, my Lord and my God. Amen.